Bullying is defined as intentional repeated aggression penetrated by a more powerful person or group attacking a less powerful victim. There are many factors to bullying, such as how bullying affects the way you cope with stress, how your parents can affect if you become a bully, and how the top dog, bottom dog phenomenon affects bullying.
A teenager's mental health has to do with how well they cope and respond to stress. It is important to develop healthy adaptive stress responses in the face of a crisis. This study examines changes in response to stress from middle childhood to the early teen years to see if bullying, verbal and physical, could predict a change in stress responses. There are two dimensions to stress responses: effortful coping and involuntary reactions, and engagement versus disengagement. Effortful engagement, which is the effort to adapt to stressors like problem solving, leads to positive social and emotional well-being. Effortful disengagement is effort directed away from stressors like avoidance and denial, and it leads to maladjustment. Involuntary engagement is automatic responses involving overengagement with stressor, emotional arousal. Involuntary disengagement means underengagement. This study examines if frequent exposure to bullying interferes with the development of effective stress responses. Bullying may lead to poor responses to stress because of hopelessness, self-blame, and feeling of worthless, causing no problem-solving skills used to solve stressful situations. In the long term, this causes reduced effortful engagement and more effortful disengagement and involuntary stress responses. Chronic bullying is the most dangerous, which happens in about 10 to 20% of kids, which causes academic failure and mental disorders like depression and aggression in adulthood. This is caused by poor stress responses over time. Peer stress is linked with less frequent effortful engagement, coping, and more frequent involuntary engagement. This study studies 636 children with 5 waves, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. They were given a questionnaire about bullying and asked questions like, how often are you teased by another kid? They rated these questions on a 1 through 5 scale. They were given this questionnaire again every year from 2nd to 6th grade. They also checked the box on how they react when other kids are mean to them. The responses to every category was like this: effortful engagement, I do something to try to fix the problem. Effortful disengagement, I try to believe it never happened. Involuntary engagement, I can't stop thinking what might happen. And involuntary disengagement, I just have to get away. Only in the 6th grade, boys scored higher than girls. Other than that, there are no changes in regards to gender. Although there are a lot of evidence that links stress response to physical and mental health, less is known about how responses to stress change with age and individual differences. This study showed that normative shifts reflect increase in adaptive stress responses and lower responses that harm us. It also shows bullying resulted in low levels of effortful engagement and higher levels of effective disengagement and involuntary responses in early adolescence.
Victims of bullying are at risk for depression, anxiety, poor academic performance, while bullies are at risk for alcohol use, smoking, and becoming criminals as adults. The use of harsh, authoritarian parenting increases the risk of bullying in children, particularly through modeling of behaviors that lead to aggressive responses. Positive parenting behaviors such as parent-child attachment, involvement, and communication are associated with better child health outcomes. Parental support, supervision, and warm and affectionate parent-child relations also are associated with decreased risk of involvement in bullying as victims or both bullies and victims. The study hypothesized that children having 2 parents with suboptimal mental health would be at the highest risk of bullying perpetration, followed by those with 1 parent with suboptimal mental health compared to those with none. The study sample contained 61,000 interviews with parents of children 6 to 17 years of age. Bully perpetration was assessed by the question, how often was this true for your child during the past month? Has he or she bullied or is cruel or mean to others? Response options were never, rarely, sometimes, usually, or always. The child was classified as a bully if the respondent chose sometimes, usually, or always. Another question asked is, would you say that in general the child's mother's mental or emotional health is excellent, very good, fair, or poor? Responses of fair, poor, versus good, very good, and excellent were categorized as suboptimal mental health. Study findings show that maternal mental health is associated with higher odds of bullying perpetration in children. Our study also shows that suboptimal paternal mental health is associated with bullying perpetration in children. Children with a father with fair or poor mental health had 1.5 times the odds of bullying compared with children with fathers with good, very good, excellent mental health, even after adjusting for demographic, child, and parental factors. Maternal and paternal mental health is associated with a higher likelihood of child bullying perpetration. Children with one or both parents with suboptimal mental health have a higher likelihood of bullying. Bullying intervention programs should consider evaluating the mental health of both parents of bullying children and intervening as necessary to improve parental mental health and promote positive parent-child interactions.
The last factor of bullying that we want to talk about is the top dog phenomenon. Recent searches find that the grade span affects academic achievement, but only speculates about the mechanisms. In the study, they examined one commonly cited mechanism, the top dog, bottom dog phenomenon, which states that students at the top of a grade span, top dogs, have better experiences than those at the bottom, which are bottom dogs. They used a longitudinal data set containing student survey data for New York City public middle school students. The study estimates the impact of top dog and bottom dog status on bullying, safety, belonging, and academic achievement. The article shows the first evidence that the top dog status improves the learning environment and academic achievement. They also find that the top dog effect is the strongest in 6th grade and in schools with longer grade spans, and that the top dog effect is not explained by new students to a school or a student height.